How's everybody doing out there? Well, welcome to Chapter 2. So we're interested in doing our descriptive statistics in this section. So again, we're going to be looking at different ways to take our sets of data and actually organize it in a way that people can look at and hopefully understand. So in our first section, what we're going to be looking at is what's called a frequency table. So a frequency table is just basically a way to divide the groups up into categories and count how many groups are in each of the different categories. So again, we can actually deal with our frequency tables in terms of either qualitative data or quantitative data. So we can do either one. So we can deal with categories of letters or ID numbers, or we can deal with numbers themselves. So for our first example, what we want to look at is we've got our students' grades, and we can see we've got all the letters listed above. And so what we want to do is go through and just count how many A's are there, how many B's, how many C's, how many D's, and how many F's. So as I go through, I'm going to go ahead and kind of strike them off so I don't make sure I miscount any. So it looks like I've got two A's total. So beside our A under frequency, we're going to put 2. And then for B's, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 7 for our B's. For our C's, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 total. D's, we've got 1, 2, it looks like. And then finally, it looks like we have 1 F. So now this is always a good important point, because now this is a small list, but if we might be doing this with a much bigger list. So what we want to do is go ahead and add up our frequency table, see how many total objects we have, and then compare it to how many is actually in our original set. So in this case, 7 plus 2 is 9. Plus 6 is 15, 16, 17, 18. So it looks like we've got 18 elements total in our frequency table. So let's go back up to our data and verify that we have 18 up there as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So perfect. So that means we've used all the data, we didn't miss any or anything like that. So always make sure you do that on a frequency distribution like we're doing. All right, so now what we want to do is sometimes this data doesn't always give us a good idea of what's going on. So it's nice to know that there were 2 A's, but sometimes it's better to think about, well, what percentage of students got A's, what percentage of students got B's, such things like that. So what we're going to do is expand our frequency distribution and calculate what's called the relative frequency as well. So let's copy over our frequency distribution from above, because these are the same scores. And so again, this still totals 18. But now to find our relative frequency, what we're going to do is take our frequency and divide it by the total number of people in the class altogether. So for our number of A's, we're going to get 2 out of 18. For our number of B's, we're going to get 7 out of 18. For our number of C's, we're going to get 6 out of 18. Number of D's, 2 out of 18. And then finally our F's are going to be 1 out of 18. And so hopefully if you notice, if I were to add all these fractions together, I'm going to get 18 out of 18, or essentially 100%. So that's what's going to happen with these. If we turn these into percentages, then what we'd expect is that when we add them all up, it should be equal to 100 or pretty close to it. So if we've rounded a little bit, it may not be exactly 100. So, but as long as it's like 99.9 something, that means we've done a good job. So if we wanted to convert these into percentages, we would just take 2 divided by 18, and that gives us 0.11111 repeating, which would be 11.1%. So 7 divided by 18 is going to be 0.388888 repeating, so it's going to be 38.9%. 6 divided by 18 is going to be 0.33 repeating, so 33.3%. So 2 out of 18, so we just did that one, so we know that's 11.1%. And then finally 1 divided by 18 would be 0.05555 repeating, so 5.6%. And so again, if we were to add this up, it should be pretty close to 100%. Again, we rounded a little bit, so it may not be exact, but it should be pretty close. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here and have you guys go ahead and work on practice 1, practice 2, and then we'll come back with another video to talk about group frequency tables. So good luck.